It's time to get all set for Sunday, a podcast for busy and distracted Catholics with your hosts, Scott Williams and Jeff Traylor.
When I hear the coffee brewing, I think, what the heck we doing? Because I got barely any sleep last night. As the diaper bag I pack with Hot Wheels dollies and some snacks, I say a prayer there'll be a seat in the crime room this time. It's alright, cause I'm all set for Sunday. It's alright, cause I'm all set for. It's alright, cause I'm all set for. It's alright, cause I'm all set for Sunday.
Welcome to All Set for Sunday, a podcast for busy and distracted Catholics to be a little more prepared for Sunday Mass. My name is Scott Williams. My co-host is Jeff Traylor. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Scott.
How's it going, bud?
Good, man. We're
Cool.
on our great adventure, and we're
Our-
moving through.
Our
Advent.
adventure is coming to a close.
Yeah, it's Violet again.
Hey, Father Peter, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Great day. Great day
Good.
today.
Good.
Rosie? No,
Nope.
Violet-y.
I was Rosie last week.
Yeah.
At least you weren't pink.
Mm.
Yeah. Are you a pink or are you a purple kind of guy?
I'm a rose.
That was a good trick. You
Kinda
tried to
guy.
get him.
I got myself. Didn't even do that on purpose.
Personally, Scott, I'm tickled pink because we're joined by Father
Wow.
Peter Marshall. You like what I did there?
Send help.
Is there like a class in seminary about how you don't call it pink, you call it rose?
It's
I mean,
color day.
I'm old enough that like boys didn't wear pink,
Yeah.
right? And so, and I get that many men and boys nowadays do wear pink, but I think part of it comes from that.
I was like, am
I
I
don't
wearing
wear
pink?
pink. I wear rose.
So
I'm
much,
not sure it's a lot.
so
better.
much more masculine to wear rose than pink.
Right.
As one should.
Yes.
All right, Jeff. You ready for the 2-minute drill?
Yeah, just writing a million questions based off one statement that Father said. No, 2-minute drill. It is the fourth Sunday of Advent. Our preparation is coming to an end, but man, am I excited
Mhm.
because
It's been a fast Advent.
it has just flown by.
Yeah.
So our first reading comes from Micah, chapter 5, verses 1 to 4. Well, 1 to 4a. So Micah prophesizes about a ruler who will come from Bethlehem, a seemingly insignificant town in the scheme of things, to Israel. So from this tiny little town of Bethlehem to Israel, or to lead Israel. And this ruler from ancient origins will shepherd his people with the strength and majesty of the Lord. And under his reign, Israel will live securely, and his greatness will reach the ends of the earth. He will bring peace and serve as a leader who fulfills God's promise in his people. So, we've heard this before. We've heard it a couple times, but we're hearing another prophesying of this leader coming from the tiny town, this nobody who's going to lead this great and mighty charge to rule Israel. Our responsorial psalm, I think we've got another like this 2 weeks in a row, a mumbler
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of Advent, because this is another real long one that, like, unless I've got the hymnal out in front of me, I'm not going to get through this whole thing. Lord, make us turn to you. Let us see your face and we shall be saved. There's just a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot
I mean,
happening.
there's a
here.
semicolon in there.
Yes.
And
Crying out loud.
3 actions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 different things. Like, I'm going to lose track. It'll for sure be like, Lord, make us your face while we shall turn to you and saved. So, our second reading then comes from Hebrews, chapter 10, 5 to 10. So the writer of Hebrews highlights Christ's mission, quoting scripture where Jesus declares that God does not desire sacrifices and offerings, but a willing heart and obedience. He says that Jesus came to do God's will, replacing the old system of sacrifices with the new covenant. And through his one-time offering of himself, Jesus sanctified believers, making them holy and acceptable to God.
This offer ends soon. One time only.
That's funny. This sacrifice, though, fulfills God's plan, replaces the repetitive offerings of the old law. So it says, we've heard a lot in the old style. We've heard a lot in the way it was. This is it. We're locking down. This is God's plan. This is how we move forward.
Game time.
And then our gospel reading. Our gospel is Luke chapter 1, 39 to 45. Mary set out and traveled to the hill country in haste to a town of Judah, where she entered the house of Zechariah and greeted Elizabeth. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greetings, the infant leaped in her womb. And Elizabeth, filled with the Holy Spirit, cried out in a loud voice and said, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. And how does this happen to me, and the mother of my Lord, that the mother of my Lord should come to me? For at the moment the sound of your greeting reached my ears, the infant in my womb leaped for joy. Blessed are you who believe that what was spoken to you by the Lord would be fulfilled."
All right.
That's a lot.
That was
That's cool.
nice.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that. Did Jeff get anything wrong, Father Peter?
No,
Oh,
No,
I
no.
thought you were thinking of something.
no, you're good
Okay. Great.
or
Cool.
adequate at least.
I am adequate. Yeah. I look in the mirror every day and I say, I am adequate.
You are adequate.
You are adequate.
Father Peter, what are you preaching on this weekend?
I don't know. I think there's two interesting, interesting to me pieces. One is the author of the letter to the Hebrews and the difference between like Old Testament sacrifice and Christ on the cross. And I think I don't think we talk enough about the sacrificial system of God's economy of salvation and how that works. So that's we'll see. It might be boring, or even almost a greater crime in my mind. It might be too long. So then I think.
What do you mean by economy of salvation?
So that this is the word we use from the Greek word economia, meaning how to run a household.
Okay.
And so how does God, what's the system that God has put in place for salvation? And it has its own kind of logic. Like we talk about, you know, the last shall be first and the first shall be last, or you know, another great example would be when Jesus says, many on that day will say, Lord, Lord, and he'll say, depart from me, I never knew you, because you ignored the poor or the hungry or the imprisoned or whatever. Like all of those are parts of how the running of God's household differ from maybe human logic or the ways of the world.
Got it.
Oh, but then we have the gospel.
You're the guest, yes. What are you guys preaching about?
Elizabeth, right? So, first of all, this is where we
Great
get
name.
right.
Wonderful. With a Z.
Mhm.
This is where we
This
get
translation.
the first half of the Hail Mary prayer, right? From Elizabeth, and then this is what Elizabeth says to set up Mary for the Magnificat. So lots of richness in there about who Jesus is and the grace given to Elizabeth and to us to be able to recognize Christ in others. And it's nice.
Yes.
It's also like, it's a homily I don't want to spend too much on because I got to get Christmas done. Right? Like that's a big homily. So just let the fourth Sunday of Advent go.
But don't do that.
Nobody
you're
comes
supposed
to
to be-
church anyway.
You're supposed to be what? You're supposed to be prepared. Wow. You're supposed to be preparing everyone for that Christmas
It's been a
holiday.
long Advent.
You haven't. Yes, you haven't. You have an opportunity here to really tee up your Christmas homily.
Yeah, like theoretically, but the Christmas
Theoretically,
homily,
I could give multiple good homilies, but in the economy of homilies, it's from the Greek economia, which means I don't feel like it.
the Christmas homily is going to be something weird, like I don't have a front porch light. That was my literal Christmas homily 2 years ago.
Oh, dear.
The poor people of St. Jude. I don't know how
And the
they
weird
do
Tom
this.
ways take
Yes.
more energy.
Yes.
Yes. You feel like they'd flow
They
real
do, 'cause they
natural.
stress me out.
By the way, we're gonna do a second collection for my porch light.
Right.
Well, what I was going to say when you were like, this weekend's trash, we're just moving on. I love this gospel reading and hearing, like, there's a beautiful intimacy here. We know that like Elizabeth and Mary are close, right? We've
Right.
heard this,
Mhm.
but like there's this beautiful intimacy between these two here
Yes.
where like it would seemingly, you would seem to think that at some point Mary has shared that the angel Gabriel came to her,
Right.
and like she's told that she's trusted Elizabeth with this, which like we get the sense that wasn't a big thing, like she wasn't running around telling a bunch
Right.
of people, but that she has trusted her cousin here
Yeah, I think that's
with
right.
this information, which like imagining like Mary as this young woman who this is, you know, she's having this experience and she's answering the call of the Lord, but that's scary. So
Right.
to know that she had somebody she could trust, and then to hear that affirmation come from her of like, because I'm sure Elizabeth was like, okay, like that's
Right.
wild, but
Mhm.
you know,
Although,
I care about you. And,
At the time, Elizabeth's husband is unable to speak, right? Because he doubted the vision that he had. So Elizabeth might
Yeah.
be a little bit more careful about doubting visions at this
that's
point.
a good
right?
point. But I just love that she then has this moment that sweeps
Yes.
over her of like the child leaping in her womb and like,
Right.
and then calls out and just affirms Mary. That had to have just, I don't know. I just think there's something really beautiful there when you think about
Absolutely.
what Mary was going through leading up to this. Like
It's also
this,
a very pro-life passage, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That here we have Jesus, the Lord of all life, every knee shall bow, and even apparently unborn knees are bowing, right? Like recognizing.
he wasn't leaping. He was trying to genuflect. Yeah. No. And then when you think about what comes of John the Baptist down
Right.
the road, this is even more like just to think about, okay, this same energy and faith and belief that Elizabeth had obviously translated to him
Yes.
and like carried him forward in his ministry and
Right.
service. So I don't know. I think it's really beautiful reaching, and you should preach decent on it at minimum. Adequate. How about we'll go with that?
Adequate homily.
Give an adequate homily.
Yeah.
All right.
or let your deacon preach.
Oh.
No, I love this. I don't know, that got the gospel. I mean, I feel like the first and second readings, like we're just into this like we get in this Advent cadence. It's these
Right.
reminder, and we need those reminders. Helps prepare. But I love this gospel reading. I think there's something really beautiful there to think about what Mary was going through and like what this experience had to be like. And I'm sure how many outsiders were judging and like viewing her and Joseph, to hear this like just this like overwhelming affirmation and like
Right.
support come from Elizabeth.
It
I think
is
really
though, like this whole section of the gospel is like the golden age of Hollywood, where people are breaking out into song like all the time. Elizabeth, Mary, Zechariah.
Just
after
cries
John
out
the
in a loud
Baptist is
voice.
born,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then did the Charleston.
Ding, ding, ding goes the trolley.
Do you get excited about Christmas?
I'm supposed to say yes, aren't I? I mean, Christmas is lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would imagine it's a a stressful time being
It
at a
is,
parish.
right? It's a lot of work, and I
But you get this opportunity to preach to people that aren't there all the time. Do you think about that when you're preparing for a
I
Christmas
do, and I
homily?
close every mass by trying to communicate that if you don't have a church home, we want to be that for you, and
Mhm.
if there's any questions that you have, anything that we can do, get a hold of us. We want to be there.
You
with
can sign up for RCI in 18 months.
No, not at St. Jude. We'll sign you up ASAP. We'll get it taken care of, because that happened to me, right? That's why you're making
Yeah.
a joke, but
No, I've always had a beef with that. Like
it is right.
I
But
think we
went
do
to
a terrible
priest.
job as Catholics of like welcoming people to parishes. It's like, oh, we're gonna do a welcome weekend where
once a month. We will welcome new people. And if you do
Right.
join, the first piece of communication is going to be your envelopes from our Sunday visitor.
Right.
And
They're very
if you,
good at
if you
welcoming
do
you.
want to
Yes.
join the church, wait till the next RCIA session.
Right.
Which, yeah, I don't think I knew that.
Yes.
But
I
you-
went to Christmas Eve Mass and just felt that this was what God was calling me to. So after Mass, I hung around for a little bit till most of the people had gone. And then I said to Father, like, I want to be a Catholic. And he's like, great, classes start in August. And like, as a priest now, I get a little bit of that, but like, instead of, hey, come in and see me next week and we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, come back to Mass, but classes start in August.
I want you to remember that when you process out of Christmas Eve Mass and head straight back to the sacristy. Because you're like, I'm out. I got to go fix my porch light.
I stand there and shake hands.
Oh, gosh. All right. You got any dumb questions over
I
there?
got all kinds of them.
All right.
All right. Fourth weekend
Yeah.
of Advent. Fourth week of Advent. So your Advent candles
Right.
at the church.
Going back to this.
I'm going a different direction. I'm not
Okay.
gonna complain about the order the Advent candles should be lit in and are not at my parish. I'm not going to bring that up.
Great.
If so, obviously, like part of the allure of the candle is that like the first week burns lower, right? So somebody leaves that candle burn, like accidentally leaves it burning or whatever, and just like you
Right.
lose the whole thing gets, because somebody leaves that burning for a couple hours, like all of a sudden it's going to be
Right.
almost gone. What do you do there? You just replace it,
Yeah.
and then you got to explain to everybody why the first candle is actually really tall and the other, like,
This so
I know you well enough to know these are things you think about too.
it is, except that like I'm not that into the Advent wreath. And so like I get
Wish
great
people cared
delight,
more about it.
and it's a family devotion. Like
Yeah.
you should do it at your home. That's great.
Yeah.
But so I send the servers out and they're like, which one should I light? I'm like, it doesn't matter because it drives
Oh,
it drives the
dagger to
Art
my
and
heart.
Environment Committee crazy to have them lit out of order. So that warms my heart.
that's great. I'm glad something's warming your heart. I didn't know it was even above frigid in there. All right. In the world of, obviously you've been sharing your feelings about Christmas. But like in the world of like leading up to Christmas week, it's not Easter, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, Holy Week is like a whole different gauntlet
Right.
for priests and for the church and stuff. But here, like leading up to Christmas, do you sit down and like come up with a game plan and think through like, okay, here are
Oh,
these
yeah.
moving pieces and here's who's covering, like, do you get, your parochial vicar and some people together and say, all right, let's talk through all of this, make sure, because it is one of those, like, it needs to be, a well-oiled machine
Yes.
to,
And there's like pieces like when do you do the blessing of the nativity, right? And do you do that before Mass? Do you sing a song, then do it, then go up and incense,
during
so-
the consecration.
So how do you figure that all out?
Yeah.
Right. And so there's that, then there's you gotta back up a couple months and look at like when can the Art and Environment Committee get in to decorate, and how much are you willing, different priests have different thoughts on this, but how much can they put up ahead of time and how much should be done like kind of last minute. And
How many poinsettias can we shove in there?
I had to call them one Christmas Eve and say, did you forget that I like to preach out in front of the altar because there's no place for me to stand?
And then you just kicked all those plants out
No,
of the
they came and rearranged a little bit.
That's
It was
fun.
lovely. We have good people at St. Jude.
Yes. No, they do a wonderful job. I do think I like that. That's part of there's all those moving pieces that I think
Right.
people like. Yes, you have Christmas masses and there are extra masses and there's a lot of people, but there are all those moving pieces of like, what's the day we say we're going to put trees up,
Right.
and lights up, and who's doing that, and
Mhm.
how are they, and I think there's some consideration to like, we have guests coming.
Right.
Like we know we're going to have a bunch of, people
Got to
here.
put the chairs out
Yeah.
in the narthex. And
Let's have like a really great experience for
Yeah.
them. And what can we do to do that? So, all right.
how's communion
What do you-
going to get distributed to all those people?
Yeah. That's your favorite part.
That is my favorite.
What do you get most excited about here?
For what?
Just in general. Like, I mean,
Like for Christmas?
no. Like the entire year.
Oh.
Is there like a season or a day or a particular like?
Am I supposed to be excited?
The things that like legit
You-
get you excited. Not
You make these
not
jokes, but
fake.
you care deeply
I-
about being a priest in
I-
the church.
I
So
love being a priest. I just I'm not like other people. I love Easter.
Yeah.
I do. Holy Week and Easter. It's exhausting. It wipes me out. All of that is 100% true. But
But you get jacked up for it.
I get jacked up for it.
Nice.
Like last year, I wanted like a really nice vestment for Easter. and
Mhm.
That was fun. I loved Thanksgiving Day Mass a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like when, like it's part of the love for it is like it's simple, right? Like it's daily Mass with music, but it just everybody who's there wants to be there, or at least almost everybody.
Mhm.
There's probably somebody drug along by their parents.
Yeah. You're home
Uh,
for Thanksgiving. You're coming to mass with us. kind of
Yeah.
thing, Yeah.
But it's nice and low pressure, and it's not complicated. I don't have to keep extra things in my mind, that I only
Mhm.
do once a year. So Thanksgiving Day Mass is really lovely.
Great.
did you bless food?
Yeah. Before we start, we have a table in the narthex, and that was hilarious to me. Like everything from a box of stuffing mix to like raw sweet potatoes, a couple bottles of wine. It's great.
Nice.
Now, like you're not supposed to throw blessed things away. What about food?
We can eat it.
Well, what about like an apple core?
Well, that's inedible. It's not
Since the
designed to
apple
be
core
eaten.
hit the bushes.
Did that part not get blessed?
We could bless a compost heap.
Oh, interesting.
I was actually wondering that because they gave apples out at my church. I got done eating my apple. I was like, what do I do with this now?
Oh, that's a very Father Farrell kind of thing. Father Jim Farrell,
I don't know.
Former
Maybe
pastor.
former
yeah.
pastor of Barnabas. So maybe.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Just been around for a while. That was my first Thanksgiving mass.
Must not have been any doctors there.
The first year I was
Thank you. Good night.
the first year I was his associate pastor, he called me the day before Thanksgiving and said,
We're going
Oh.
apple picking.
would you go buy apples? It's my tradition to pass out an apple to everybody who comes to Thanksgiving.
It's
Day
a good
Mass,
hazing
so-
thing. I like it.
Right.
Go get the apples, parochial vicar.
So I put on my maniple and away I went.
All right. What in the world of I've always thought Christmas is a funny time with the Christmas masses because many parishes designate their masses like there's a family's mass, and it's like the only time of year we really do that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there maybe like even on Sundays people will call certain masses certain things, but do you guys do that? Do you have like a children's liturgy?
We don't call it that, but we do have the children's choir sing at the 4 p.m.
Got it.
And that's, for me, that's like, well, that's when most families with grade school age children come.
Mhm.
So let's just make it easy. And that makes sense to me.
Got it.
But the 10 p.m. is the big mass.
Yeah.
We have brass and everything. So
By 10 p.m.
that's the time it was when I arrived.
Mm.
And
Oh, and
I-
you're not one to change things.
I don't change things. So I like being in bed by midnight.
There it is. Yeah, ours has moved to 11:30 this year, which my family is very excited about. But I'm like
Was that earlier
Ugh.
or later?
later,
Okay.
Why 11:30
so that the liturgy of the Eucharist will happen around midnight.
at your parish?
Uh
Figured mass be done by then.
huh. Different pastor.
Right.
If it was Father Tim, yeah, we're like 11:58 and we're out of there. But yeah,
Oh, that's right.
So no. I always just think it's funny that it is like the one like, let's not change up how we do it. Like, let's just have mass. Mass is for
Right.
everybody. Come to whatever mass and like
Right.
do that. And like, yeah. Anyway.
You can go Christmas Day too.
Yes.
Yeah. Nobody does, but we do have
I've done
mass
it.
on Christmas morning.
I don't mind it.
I like it. 9 a.m. So you can't do the turkey trot and Christmas morning mass, but
Well, one happens on Thanksgiving and the other happens. So I think you probably could.
you probably could.
Now, Christmas morning, we used to do it with when our kids were younger. Like if we didn't have some like an evening mass to go with all of with grandparents or whatever, because by 9 a.m. our kids were up. We had
Right.
opened everything. Like Christmas morning was over. Back when they used to get up. Nowadays, I have teenagers and like we'll drag them out of bed for Christmas morning.
Right.
So, or one will wake up and then just like bang around until the other wake up.
Do you put a tree up at your house?
I do. I had a couple of years where I didn't because it seemed like a hassle. And then it was just very sad.
And then you were visited by the ghost of Christmas past. And then
Well, it wasn't like I was taking a stand. It just, it's just me. So, but yeah, it's nice. I like it. So,
all right, that's
Anything
all I
else?
got. No.
All right. Well, Father Peter,
all right.
Oh, I do
Always
have one more thing. Our next episode with Father Peter,
Oh yeah.
we should tell our listeners. If y'all January 9th, if you're not doing anything, there's a few. I'll bet we'll get a few. But January 9th,
Fly into the Jasper.
head down to
Metropolitan.
Jasper, Indiana. Jasper, Indiana, Theology on Tap for the young adult Catholic community in Jasper. We're going to be doing a live recording of All Set for Sunday with Father Christian's parish and his Theology on Tap program down there. Father Peter is going to be our guest. He's going to come with us.
Mhm.
We'll be at St. Benedict Brew Works in Jasper at, I think we're starting at like 7:30 that night. So
Eastern.
if anybody's listening, if you got any questions, just reach out. You can email Scott at CatholicConcepts.com. He'll answer
Or
any of your questions.
Probably St. Joe's Catholic Church website
Yeah.
in Jasper. Right?
St. Joseph's and Jasper, or Theology on Tap, Jasper. I don't know.
Right.
Just use Google. You guys are
TOT
smart. You can figure it out.
Jasper.com.
Yeah. Is it?
No, I don't know. Might be.
Tot Jasper.
Top
Um,
Jasper. We're gonna
so-
do some exclusive Theology on Tap, All Set for Sunday merch.
Sweet. Yes. All right. I guess we are now. We'll have some merch that we'll give away. We'll bring the shirt cannon
Yeah.
and fire it off into the crowd.
If you want that, put it in the comments.
We'll knock a window out in that small a space.
Well, you've never been there. You don't know. No.
Yeah.
If you're interested, it's a Thursday night. Come on down. That'd be fun. We're going to do a live recording. And if you think we should do other live recordings someplace, let us know. And
And if this,
I guess we
episode-
record them all live, but this will be live in front of a not studio audience.
We'll try to stream it if it's if they have the internet there in Jasper. And if this episode gets 1 million views on YouTube, we'll do a drawing to fly someone to Jasper in a private jet,
Yes, we will.
not in a private jet.
Maybe a
But-
helicopter. We could probably pull off a helicopter.
A private
Cessna.
prop.
A Cessna.
Yeah.
So, sure. Whatever Joe's plane is.
small-
Serious. Well,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can make him do it. Yeah. Cool. There you go.
1 million
1 million views.
on YouTube.com. All right. Any
Okay.
final
No,
thoughts, Father?
No.
Do you have
I'm out.
do you have an airplane by
I'm out
chance?
before you make me commit to something like that.
Father Peter will be flying the airplane.
All right. Thanks again, Father. Appreciate
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
It's alright, cause I'm all set for. It's alright, cause I'm all set for. It's alright, cause I'm all set for Sunday.